Okay, welcome to the regular council meeting for Harvey's Lake Borough, July 21st, 2020. We'll now call this meeting to order, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America,
and to
to
the
the
republic
Republic for which it stands,
one
nation under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice for all.
justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Sampson. Here. President Boyce.
Here.
Vice President Hilbert.
Here.
Councilmember Blaine.
Here.
Councilmember Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Kaler.
Here.
Councilmember Flack.
Here.
Councilmember Hogan. Not yet. And Solicitor Buccolino.
I'm here.
Okay, quorum is established.
Okay, this is an opportunity for citizens to be heard, and we did have a request from a citizen. I think she's on.
Alice?
Alice France, you wanted to say something to Borough Council?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just had a concern about a illegal firing range that appeared on 2nd Street up above John Paul's home. I noticed it back in February. I spoke to Chief Musial about it. He told me that there's no ordinance within the borough that stops anything like that from being built or people from shooting. I get it. We have a lot of hunters out here. I own a gun. I don't discharge it anywhere close to a home. So when I talked to him, he said there was really not a whole lot he can do unless I came before council and council made an ordinance about discharging weapons. I then did call the state police because it is a state highway. The state police said that they couldn't do anything. I called PennDOT because it's a PennDOT road. They said that there's no laws against anybody shooting basically 10 feet off the road. And then I also called the Game Commission. They said there was nothing they could do. So I don't know if it's going to take putting an ordinance in that a firearm cannot be discharged in a certain area. Because when the borough doesn't have an ordinance, it's supposed to revert to the county, and the county ordinance prohibits discharging a firearm anywhere within 300 yards of an occupied structure, which the house next door is nowhere close to even being 300 yards away.
Okay, I'll do it right now.
Solicitor, can you give us your opinion? Is this something that we can?
I mean, we have to look into it, and I need to know more facts about the situation. Is it possible? Is it possible?
Ed, the solicitor's talking, and we have two people talking at once. Solicitor.
Yeah. If we could have, I'm sorry, the resident's name, I'm sorry, ma'am, your name is what?
My name is Alice France.
Mrs. France, if you might shoot an email over to the borough manager, borough secretary outlining your concerns, and then I'll look into it, including get my hands on the copy of the county's ordinance.
Okay.
And then we'll take it from there. But it's the first I'm hearing of it, so I got to look into it a little bit more.
Yes, and I would think that if the State Game Commission, PennDOT, all of the places that she checked with said there are no laws. You know, we can't go to the state for a law. We can't go to.
Nothing.
Well, what I want to make sure though is that, you know, there's a thing that's called occupying the field. Sometimes where the state is preempts the field in terms of regulation of the guns, I want to make sure we're not stepping on anybody's toes.
Right. Okay, well, Gladys, we have to do more research, and we may have to contact you for more information
Okay.
and look into it. That's all we can promise you at this point.
Okay.
Now, did we have any emails from any residents who wanted to email a question?
We did. It wasn't a question. It was basically a thank you to our board for backing Bruce Hanson on his case about the right-of-way at the rowing club. And he lost that case. The judge ruled against him. But he still was very thankful that the borough did stand by him and allow him to express his concerns with it. And he just wanted to let you know that he lost the case. He does not have a right of way there.
Okay,
This is a joke. I can't hear.
can we have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Reports from appointed officials and special committees. Roads,
Okay, Madam Chair, number one, I have a very difficult time hearing everybody, but I do have my reporter for the roads. The gentlemen were very busy this past couple weeks, doing a lot of milling and paving. They're up at Oneida Hill. They milled out the last bad section and paved it. They were in Hemlock Gardens milling and a pretty big section of roadway up there. They were cutting a lot of grass and weed whacking throughout the borough. They patched holes down on Hollowich Road with some modified. They cut out a section of road on Maple. They got a complaint about a hole next to a pipe. They cut it out and fixed it. They went to the bottom of Orchard Street and milled out a section of swell and fixed the box. Then they paved around the box and got the water running into it again. They rebuilt the box in front of the beach at Sunset. The box caved in. They had to pave around it. They also had to take the 2011 dump truck to the dealer to have the exhaust cleaned out. The truck will not run right without it. That's my road report, Madam Chair.
thank you, and that's a lot of work considering that we had 2 road workers out for 14-day quarantine because they were both exposed to someone who came down with a virus. So we had a single guy holding the fort for a while there. But thank you for that report. This is our first report now.
Carol, will you read the police report? We're not hearing her.
Okay. She's back there reading it in the office, but we can't hear her. Would you want me to read it? Technical difficulties.
I can't hear you, Carol.
No report.
Over here. With everybody.
Let's see. Go to the left. There go left.
We could say that before
That's 2 lights. That's the meeting.
7 alarms, other violations 2, animal complaints 5, assisting other agencies 8, criminal mischief 2, disorderly conduct 1, domestic disturbances 2, unauthorized use of credit cards 2, medical emergency 13. Is this a different day?
I never saw this format before for the police report, and it's several pages, and
No, she's showing.
they're
Yeah.
all-
For the next.
I can email this to everyone, and since it's quite long.
there's several pages. It's done by code.
Yeah, I will email this to everyone so that everyone.
Is
can
that all
see
right
it.
with everybody? She will email that, the police report, I mean, It's very.
Oh,
difficult.
yeah, there's 1 month that's January, another month that's February. and then
Okay, I
March,
guess
April.
it's the
So
whole-
6 months worth of police.
That's why, because we haven't had a police report all year, so that's why there's so much here. Is everybody okay with Irene sending this to everybody by email? Instead
No
of-
problem here.
No
I mean,
problem.
But
That's fine.
everybody okay? How about anybody not okay with it? All right, we'll have Irene send this report to everybody.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Zoning.
My zoning report from Maureen. Since the last council meeting, she worked 15.5 days. She spoke to approximately 308 people. She issued 47 permits for June, 23 zoning, 11 building, 12 burn, 1 job Johnny, year to date, 161 permits. She reported to the WVSA on monthly stormwater report for June. She's still having to make decisions regarding DEP and PennDOT. Unfortunately, the state agencies are not yet back up or available. She continued documenting all that I can and making the best decisions possible. She issued 2 citations, referred to Luzerne Conservation District, tagged 2 people for permits, no permits pulled, since complied. She has stopped work order in place for no permit pulled. She drove 4 times around the borough to check on permits, jobs, complaints, post hearings, prepared all zoning paperwork for July hearings, held in-person zoning hearings for 2 projects Tuesday. All safety measures were in place. She received 3 complaints, 1 resolved, 2 pending. Fall through on email requests and other
Come back,
correspondence,
please.
and she processed other paperwork as necessary. She would like to know, should she bill for amusement devices, being that people are not allowed to linger in a restaurant or bar?
I think that should, my opinion, we don't want to hurt the businesses that have already been hurt. If we ever get onto normalcy, we can collect on a prorated basis for whatever time, they're, I mean, I don't know how anybody else feels, but we don't want to add insult to injury. They're suffering now with losses of business.
Yeah, we don't need to rub salt in the wound.
Pardon me?
We don't need to rub salt in the wound. They're hurting
We
enough.
don't. I think that if everybody agrees to it, why don't we hold off? That's part of Maureen's job as zoning officer, to go around and count those machines and collect the fees. And she hasn't done that, for obvious reasons. So what we want to do is hold off. If things open up again and they only get 2 months business out of the year, then prorate the fee. These things will hurt us too as a borough, but you can't burden our business people any further. I don't think. So if everybody.
I agree.
I agree with that.
I agree.
Okay. Well,
Why don't we waive that fee for this year? Why don't we pass a motion to waive that fee for this year?
well, when we get to
Second that motion.
to make that motion, that's probably a better idea.
Michelle, I can hardly hear you.
Okay, I'm going to try to speak up louder. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
A little better, yeah.
Try to talk louder and get closer to the microphone. The next report,
Well, wait, I'm gonna make a motion
well,
that we waive that fee for our people this year.
well, we're not to that point yet, Danny, to do my.
Pardon me?
That'll be new business.
That'll come under new business. I have one more report.
All right.
I checked with Fred Lubno of Princeton Hydro just to get an update. And on the Growing Greener grants, he looked into the status of what we applied for. and was told they have not issued any of those, that they haven't awarded those yet for this year. He also informed me that they were here yesterday, and overall the lake looks good. There is a bit of green tinge, but no large surface scum. The water clarity varied between 5 and 6.6 feet. Typically, a layperson says a lake looks bad or scummy if the clarity is less than 3.3 feet. Some hydrilla was observed off of the boat launch. They actually pulled some off their anchor. The floating wetland islands look good. He sent me a photo. And they should have lab results and plankton ID work completed in a week or two. He asked us to stay safe, and if we have any more questions, to just reach out. I just wanted to give you an update on that. Now I need a motion to accept the report.
I'll make
So
that
moved.
motion.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to accept the reports. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And new business. Everyone knows that Joe Scarlett passed away. He was a member of our sewer authority board. He had less than 2 years to go on his term, and we need to get someone in that seat for the balance of his term. And we have a letter of interest from Brandon Harris. If someone would want to make a motion.
Can we hear the letter? Or is it just as basic as I have interest?
I think it's a little more than that.
I want to bump up the
Well, I
grant.
know Brandon, and I like him, and I think he's a good concerned citizen. I'd just like to, for the sake of going through the process,
Oh, that's
hear a little
good.
more.
No, that's good. Here, while she's gone. Hi, Ed. Hello,
Hi,
Ed.
everybody. All I'm trying to do is tell everybody, I would like to have the grass cut over by the bridge going from my joint to the skillet. Supposed to be done by the state.
Did you call them?
Irene, I believe, called him and never got through. And we want to clean up the office over there as well.
What?
I understand we can go in and clean it. I'm talking about redoing it over. And I understand we can go in and do it. Even though it's closed to the public, our contractors can go in and do it.
What office are you talking about?
The one you're sitting in, or not the one you're sitting in, the one that Irene is sitting in.
They are still cleaning here.
Pardon me?
They are still cleaning here. They didn't stop cleaning.
Not cleaning, I'm talking about construction.
Oh, all right. We'll talk about that. All right. Let's get back.
Whatever,
Let's get back to the business, the new business.
whatever.
Go ahead and read it.
Okay, I'm going to read Brandon Harris's email. Says, to whom it may concern, I, Brandon Paul Harris of 74 Walnut Street, wish to fulfill the open seat with the sewer authority. It is my understanding that the borough of Harvey's Lake is in need of another resident to aid in this position. I love and care deeply for our borough and want to better serve this community. I am a full-time resident and will remain so, God willing. Best regards, Brandon Paul Harris.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Are we done on that?
I need a motion.
Ask for a motion.
Do we have a motion to act on this appointment?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. We better do a roll call vote.
Okay. Councilman Kaler,
Yes.
Councilman Black,
Yes.
Councilman Blaine,
Yes.
Councilman Kelly,
Yeah,
President Boyce.
Abstain.
Okay, carries.
Okay, that motion carries. Now we have a resolution for Berkheimer. This is so Irene can,
Interface with them. As the Secretary Treasurer, they didn't have my name on their files, and it has to be a resolution for me to pay the bills and accept their payments.
I'll make that motion.
there's a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Oh,
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I want to ask the solicitor, should we read this?
Should you? You don't have to read the whole resolution as long, was it, well, it hasn't been advertised because it's a resolution, but you can summarize it for the benefit of the public.
Well, basically, it's so that our Borough Secretary Treasurer can interface with Berkheimer and, send payments and receive.
Do we still have members? Do we still have members of the public that are logged in?
Yes.
So we need to offer up that for comment since it wasn't on the agenda. If any member of the public has a comment or question on that.
I don't have a comment or a question.
Okay, you're good to go.
Yes, that's still.
Danny, now it would be the time for your motion to waive the fees for the amusement tax for our businesses.
Excuse me,
All right,
Madam President, before we get to that, was that last resolution? I know it was motioned and seconded, but I don't know that it was actually put out for vote.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we voted.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the fees for the amusements for our businesses this year due to the fact that we have the problem with the pandemic.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay, we got everybody seconded it. Good going. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Maybe we can write a letter to them stating that that's what we're going to do for this year.
Great idea.
Good idea.
I'll take care of that.
Thank you, Maureen.
Mention it as a demonstration of our support for our local businesses, and I think that'd be great.
Okay, under old business is the Comcast franchise. We talked about this last month. And whether it would be worthwhile to hire an attorney to advise us on this. And Irene did call Comcast, and would you explain?
Yes, actually Comcast contacted me and offered us a 5-year extension while we decide what we're going to do. The woman was very certain that we wouldn't get $8,000 worth of fees back. And she said, while we're looking into it, that might be something that we want to do.
Of course she took that.
Mark, what is your opinion on this?
Well, I think I've expressed it a couple of times. I mean, this is really more of a matter for an executive session, but let me say that, as I mentioned during the last meeting, the area of cable franchise agreements is a very fluid, a very technical, and a very novel, fluctuating area of the law. Attorney Cohen specializes in that area of the law, and when I spoke to him, and I think I forwarded on an email to all of the members with his initial thoughts, did I not?
Yes.
Okay. So there were some glaring errors or glaring omissions in his expert opinion from the current draft of the agreement that did not inure to the benefit of Harvey's Lake Borough. contrary to the individual from Comcast, Attorney Cohen expressed to me that he thought it virtually certain that the borough, over the course of the term of the contract, which I think is what, 10 years,
Yeah.
would recoup those savings and more. And I also heard from his partner last week, which thought there would be some additional savings for some recent developments in the law. He had offered, as I mentioned in my email to everybody, to have a very brief telephone conference with the members to answer whatever questions, concerns that you may have. But that, as I mentioned in my email, the decision is ultimately up to you members. But I would mention again, I just sort of highlight his even cursory review of the current agreement that exists in place. They were able to identify about 3 or 4 or 5 areas that are not addressed but need to be addressed in his view.
What is our next move to address them?
Well, that's what would happen is if we were to engage Attorney Cohen in that regard, he would then interact with Comcast as he does on a daily basis. They would probably, more likely than not, modify the terms of the existing contract before you folks affix your signatures to it, and then sit back and wait for the benefits of that. But
If we go ahead without doing that, we stand to lose $8,000 in benefits. Is that what I'm?
well, it was his opinion that he thought, yeah, I guess that would probably be a fair assessment. But I would encourage you to, I mean, what does it take? It's a 10-minute telephone conversation out of the course of a 30-day period of time. And while we're all busy, I don't know that anyone of us is that busy. I don't know what you have to lose. If you do nothing, you're guaranteed to get nothing. If you have a 10-minute telephone conversation with this individual, you may find out that it's worth your while. So
Makes
I would
sense to me.
recommend that you do it.
Well, I don't, can we wait another month and have them come call in on an executive session?
Yeah, and I think it's extremely interesting that the Comcast representative is so anxious to get a 5-year extension while we make these decisions. That speaks a little something to me.
Well, I think our contracts have been for 5 years.
No, they have been for 10.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I'd like to listen.
I know they were long-term contracts, not an annual thing.
No, I think that's a 10-year term on the contract.
Yeah, it's a 10-year term.
So you're talking about saving less than $1,000 a year to recoup whatever you might spend to make sure that you're adequately protected.
I thought that you told us it would cost us approximately, and correct me please if I'm wrong, that this would cost us approximately $8,000.
It was in the email I sent you. I think it was somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay.
Right. So over the 10-year term.
Well, I think it's a good idea to have that telephone conference perhaps at an executive session at our next meeting.
Fine, I'll schedule it for 4:30 before the next meeting.
Great.
Yeah. Is everybody okay with that? We'll have
Okay with me.
All right, here's what he said. He said that the renewal negotiation would cost $8,900, but given the longstanding relationship that our firm has with Elliott Greenleaf, as well as the size of the borough, I discontinued our flat fee, discounted our flat fee to $6,900. So it's not going to be $8,000; it would be $6,900 because of the relationship that he has with your organization, Mark.
Yep.
And so that would be the price that it would be.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
I
true.
think that we should definitely move forward with this.
I will schedule it for an executive session a half hour before the next regular meeting, if that works for everybody.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone have anything else before oh, well, there is one thing, no. All right, before we, look for a motion to approve the payment of the May, bills. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Yeah, it should
My
say-
paper says May, but we're looking at the June bill. $110,091.29, and the June payroll, $38,103.79. For a total
Anyone
of
else? Hope anyone else? I can't have.
the bills and payroll are $148,195.08. We need a motion to pay.
So moved.
Second,
So-
I'll second it.
my motion.
On the question, I understand there was a problem with our police and that that their credit cards were rejected because, for some reason, the bill wasn't paid.
There was a,
It's so bad.
cards, were not paid. I just got a call recently, saying that they weren't paid from last December, but they sent us any bills and not having any heads up, I didn't know that I was supposed to go online, look for that charge and pay it. It's been paid, everything's, up to date. It was just a misunderstanding that I didn't know I had to go online and look for the bill and pay it.
No,
Okay.
just came in for that.
And they didn't charge any late fees.
So everything's back in where it should be.
Paid now, yeah.
Thank you.
We had a motion and a second to pay the bills and payroll. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. The next meeting of Harvey's Lake Borough Council will be held on Tuesday, August 18th. Time to be announced, but we are going to have that 4:30 executive session to discuss the cable franchise concept.
Sounds good.
If everybody would just stay on, we have an executive session, just I think one item to go over. And that's closed to the public, so Alice will have to sign off.
She's done.
Okay. That's what we're at.
Well, first we have to adjourn. No, we
Oh. We'll adjourn this regular session of council. I need a motion to do that. And-
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, now,